Good morning, AXA, and welcome to our session today, Health Max. Again, we're going to learn virtually, okay, from our homes as we make your ECQ more productive. We know that protection and health is not only our commitment, it is our mission, and we help empower people to live better lives through it. Now, let's begin with a few statistics and a little knowledge about why we need critical illness insurance. As we know, the foundation of any health plan should always be protection and health. We could be the savviest investor, we can have placement in the best performing funds, or even in unit investment trust funds. But without the provision for health, you would know that all of that investment that we have placed in would be in jeopardy. Health and the loss of life are unexpected things that can happen to anyone. And these things we cannot plan for, and we should at least address immediately. So, if we look at the pyramid right now, you get to see that a lot of people would know when they would retire, when their kids would go to school. More or less, they would know as well what are their future goals in the next 10 or 15 years. But the thing is, they won't really know when death or illness can happen. Let's look at some statistics this time as to our health funding. When it comes to health funding, you can actually see that it can be a bit costly. As you would know, the landscape says, okay, in every day, critical illness can happen to anyone, anytime. Factors such as the environment, lifestyle have increased, and acquiring this disease can actually become possible through this. And getting costs to treat these illnesses, even with the advancement of science, can actually be very costly on the pockets of our customers. So how do we then help them with the cost that comes with critical illness? Let's look at this time where our customers typically get these costs. Right, we have the national government, we have the local government, social insurances, and private insurances. But the question is, it tells us that despite all the presence of the other forms of insurance, such as HMO and PhilHealth, this still is not enough if a person has critical illness. As much as 56% of the expenses are still paid out of pocket. But did you know that paying out of pocket does not necessarily mean coming out from your pocket alone? It means you'll have to tap on your other loved ones who will actually help you sustain financially with the critical illness that you actually have. At the same time, it is also getting help from all the other available resources that can enable us to get through this critical illness. Now, why do you still need to purchase then a critical illness insurance when you already have an HMO? Most Filipinos object to the purchasing additional forms of insurance, believing that it isn't necessary because they already have HMO and PhilHealth. There are two questions you can ask your potential clients that should raise this objection. You can look at the fact that an average HMO only covers 200,000 annually, and will it be enough really to cover for all the expenses that one can actually have if they get critically ill? And typically, after you retire from your company, your HMO also stops. And that's a time wherein you get very old already because you've already retired. And that also means that you don't have a health insurance to cover you for old age. They say in life, there are three things. People will die, people will get old, and people will actually get sick at one point in time. Now, what are you doing then to ensure that when these three things happen, you are ready for them? That is why here at AXA, we are proud to say that we have one of the products that actually caters to a very comprehensive critical illness plan, which we would call Health MaX. Now, Health MaX basically has different kinds of benefit, and we are going to talk about them through this session. Okay, so what can Health MaX do for you? We've tackled a while back that HMO typically covers you only up to the time when you are working with a company. How about Health MaX on the other hand? Health MaX provides a coverage all the way up to age 100. Basically, it provides a lifetime coverage for all extensive lists of major and minor critical condition. so ensuring that our customers are covered long after their HMO has expired. How about for other benefits as well? We can see that it has coverage for relevant critical conditions. And what do we mean by critical conditions? These are conditions that typically take out a very large portion of the bill in the hospital should we actually get diagnosed with them. The major ones that are known to most Filipinos are cancer, stroke, and heart attack, just to name a few examples. And rest assured that we cover them as well here at HealthMax, and more than that. More than that, because we have 53 other conditions as well, other than the major critical conditions. So we cover 4 relevant critical condition with the 56 major critical condition, and as well as 18 minor critical condition. Now, the beauty here is that you don't really have to look into who is accredited by your HMO as the doctor or the hospital, because the lump sum, the cash benefit that is paid out by HealthMax will be given to the person who got the HealthMax policy. That means they get to choose as well how they would like to spend their cash benefit should a critical condition happen to them. Aside from that, it also comes with a life insurance. That means that it will actually cover should untimely demise happen to the person who was insured. 100% of the insured, less any minor critical condition benefit if we paid any, and advanced health fund if we paid any, will be given basically to the beneficiary of the person who got the insurance plan. That means you're not only taking care of yourself, you're also taking care of your family should anything happen to you. So there you have it. You already have all the statistics you need in order for you to understand better why we actually need to offer a critical illness plan to our customers. Now, let's look into one of the most comprehensive critical illness plan provided by AXA called HealthMax. To understand this better, let's look at the benefits in 4 ways. Now, as I've said earlier, there are 3 things in life that are certain. People will get old, people will eventually die, it's just a matter of when, and people will get sick. And all of us, we understand that in life, we are moving towards actually that direction. But how prepared are we when these things happen? Let's look at how HealthMax can actually help us prepare for these 3 things. Number 1, it covers us for up to age 100. That means long before your HMO is gone, you are covered by HealthMax. That can actually enable our customers to feel the security that no matter what happens to them, even if they're not affiliated already with a company, they are still covered by HealthMax all the way up to age 100, long after an average lifespan has already gone. Because typically, people live up to 80 years old, but HealthMax covers us all the way up to 100. Another beautiful benefit of HealthMax is the coverage for relevant critical conditions. And when we say critical condition, just to give you an example and just to name a few, they are cancer, stroke, heart attack. Those are very familiar terminologies to you probably, because these are conditions that actually take up a lot of our finances when we get diagnosed with them. But HealthMax is not limited to just 3 conditions, but we're looking at 56 major critical conditions that can get covered when you get a HealthMax policy. Another is that it also provides coverage for 18 minor critical conditions as well. Don't worry, I'll be discussing and be running through all these critical conditions that we are talking about here in our session today. The beauty there is that a lump sum cash benefit is given to the customer or the person insured when they get diagnosed with any of the major critical condition or minor critical condition. That enables our customer to have the flexibility of how they can actually use their cash benefit to maximize on getting well. That means it won't go to the hospital or to the doctor. They get to choose actually who is the doctor who's going to take care of them and what hospital they're going to be admitted to. Moving forward, we can see that HealthMax not only covers the person who actually bought the policy. It covers as well their loved ones, which is a very true act of selflessness because Health Max comes with a life insurance as well. We don't know when our untimely demise will happen, but we would like to make sure that our loved ones are left with an ample amount of money, especially if we are the breadwinner of the family. That's why HealthMax comes as well with a life insurance coverage. So it provides that benefit in case of the customer's untimely demise. The beneficiaries of that specific customer will then be given the cash benefit for HealthMax. And it's not all that. It's not just that. If you think about it, what if I don't get sick yet? What if I don't die? So that does mean my policy will not serve me anymore? Well, this is where the Advanced Health Fund actually comes in handy. Our customers are then given option to withdraw portions of their sum insured starting the age of 70. It's basically like a reward for staying healthy and for making sure that they are actually healthy all the way up to age 70. So we're giving them, okay, we're giving them what we call an advanced health fund to use, for example, for instances wherein they need maintenance medication, wherein they have already retired and they might need extra income, right? Because they're not earning as much as they have earned before, okay? So it helps them financially. It aids them as they are already getting older. So basically, Health Max is a very comprehensive health plan that addresses every need in life, whether it's critical condition, major or minor, a coverage all the way up to age 100, whether it's something for your loved ones such as a death benefit proceeds, or it's something for old age to help you get through like maintenance medication and actually enjoying old age as well through the Advanced Health Fund. Knowing that these are the benefits of HealthMax, you can assure your customers that we will be with them every step of the way, not just through the major and minor critical illnesses. Let's understand the benefits better by stating some real scenarios or example. Let's look into Miss Jane Rodriguez. She's 30 years old, she's a female, and she's a non-smoker. She's a HealthMax customer. Her sum insured, she got a 1 million worth of cash benefit from HealthMax, and she's gonna pay it for the next 20 years. That's the beauty of HealthMax as well. You get to choose actually your payment period, whichever is comfortable for you. Your customers has three options to do this. They can opt to pay it for 10 years, for 20 years, or pay up to age 65. Knowing these options enables the customer to actually adjust the amount of payment that they can actually pay for their premiums to make it more comfortable so as not to actually make their lifestyle not the usual, right? So if we look at her annual premium for Jane Rodriguez, who's 30 years old, it's just at 25,820. That's basically less than 2,000 per month that she's paying to get a 1 million sum insured. So what is she doing here? Basically, she's employing the idea that she is settling a little amount of her salary or her earnings to ensure that should anything happen to her, she would have access to 1 million, enabling her to make sure that she will have money when these needs arise. Now, if you look at it closely, Jane is still 30 and she chose pay up to 20 years. So she'll be paying her policy when she is at the prime of her career. That means that she'll be paying it during her earning years, ensuring that by age 50, her health max would have been fully paid. And by the time she retires at age 65, it's okay because her HMO is gone. Even if it's gone, it's still fine because Health Max can now cover her up to age 100. Just by setting aside a small amount of 25,820 annually or less than 2,000 monthly. Let's look into other scenarios as well, wherein we get to see more of the benefits in the works for our HealthMax customer. So, let's look at this time the 56 major critical condition. Remember that when their clients get diagnosed with the 56 major critical condition that is set in the policy of HealthMax, the client will get 100% of the sum insured. If you remember correctly, Jane opted to get a 1 million sum insured. Let's look at that scenario right now. At 30 years old, Jane got her first HealthMax policy with a 1 million sum insured. Unfortunately, at age 33, she got hit by a major critical condition. Jane is diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And with that, if it meets all of the conditions in the contract, she can now claim for the major cash benefit of 1 million. If we look at closely, okay, that enables Jane to actually use 1 million however she wants. She can choose the doctor that she would want to take care of her as she battles through cancer. At the same time, she can also choose the hospital who will take care of her as she battles through cancer. The money, she is going to be the one who will allot it and where she would want to put it. So Jane is now on her way to recovery. Of course, since she already got diagnosed with a critical condition, even if this is a 20-pay policy, she will stop paying her premiums the moment she gets diagnosed, and the policy, of course, is terminated. Jane can spend the cash benefit however she wants. If we look at the amount that was paid by Jane for the last 3 years that she got her policy, it was just amounting to 77,460 because it's 25,000 more or less per year. But the total benefits she received is 1 million. That is the importance of actually ensuring that your clients understand the policy they're getting. It does not have to mean that the clients need to just continuously pay or choose the 10 pay because it makes it easier to finish the plan. Sometimes stretching the plan makes it more affordable. The point there is that you set aside a little amount of money to have access again to a fund that can help you when critical illness arise. Let's look at another benefit of HealthMax, which is also 18 minor critical condition. This time, when the client gets diagnosed with a minor critical condition, the customer gets actually 20% of the sum insured. In our case today, Jane Rodriguez, she got a 1 million sum insured policy for HealthMax. 20% of that, you're looking at 200,000 pesos. Now let's put that into our scenario. So let's say at age 33, Jane got diagnosed with a minor critical condition. She had to go angioplasty. Although angioplasty is not a minor critical condition, it's actually a procedure. It is part of our minor critical conditions list in HealthMax. And I tell you, we made it part of it because it's one of the procedures that are done quite so often in the healthcare system. So she had to go angioplasty. And with that, since that is a minor critical condition, she gets the cash benefit of 20% of the sum insured, which is 1 million, so she gets 200,000. That enables Jane to pay for her angioplasty and all the other things she might need because she went through it. Now, of course, since this is a minor critical condition, the policy does not terminate. Jane can continue paying for it because, of course, most people recover after a minor critical condition. Now, if you look at it, there is still, out of the million, there is still 800,000 left. What happens then? At age 65, Jane got diagnosed with cancer. This time, it was stage 3 cancer. She can now claim for the major cash benefit, the remaining 80%, which is 800,000. So you can rest assured that your client's money is well accounted for. So minor critical conditions receive 200,000, major critical illness receive 800,000. Let's look at other scenarios as well when it comes to the HealthMax benefit. We said that apart from getting insured all the way up to age 100 and the major and minor critical illness that covers for HealthMax, we also make sure that the cash benefit can be given to your family should an untimely demise happen. It will help them to get on with their life, like the child's education, legacy or business, any medical bills that has been left behind, any debts, for example, that has been left behind. It enables them to continue and pay for these things if an untimely demise happened to our clients. So, for example, at age 45, Jane dies from a car accident. Then, if she did not make any claims for minor critical condition, then her beneficiary will get the full cash benefit, which is 1 million. If she made claims, for example, for the minor critical condition, like at age 35, she had an angioplasty and we gave her 200,000 for it. At age 45, for example, she died, her beneficiary will get what less of what we gave her during the minor critical condition. So of course, it will just be 800,000. So think of Health Max as a pie. And anytime that we take something out of the pie, what is left will be given to either the beneficiary or to the client, whichever comes first. Another beauty of Health Max is that, surprisingly, it rewards us also for staying healthy. If the customer is able to maintain good health and did not claim for a major critical condition or did not die because they're both interchangeable, he or she may opt to withdraw from her sum insured. Now, starting at age 70, the client can now start, to withdraw from the sum insured that was given to them. At age 70, she can start to withdraw, 20% of her sum insured. 20% of her sum insured, that means 200,000. And at age 75, it's 15% of the sum insured, so that's 150,000. At age 80, it's 10% of the sum insured, and that's 100,000. And at age 85, it's 5% of the sum insured, and that's 50,000. All in all, we can actually account for already half of the sum insured during the times when the client withdraw for her advanced health fund. So that's 500,000. But what about the other 500,000? That other 500,000 can still be applicable for major critical condition, minor critical condition, death, or maturity benefit at the age of 100, whichever can come first. So your clients can really be rest assured that their money is actually well accounted for. Okay. Now, if you look at that, what if the client would say, I've prepared for my retirement well enough. I don't think I would really need to withdraw money from my advanced health fund. Now, can I keep it there? Now, you can always tell the client that yes, they can opt not to withdraw from their advanced health fund and just let it accumulate with possible interest. Of course, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that it can accumulate, but then it is good to actually encourage them to do that, especially if they do have funds for their retirement to begin with. But if not, then they can go ahead and use the money however it is that they want to use it. Encourage them as well to use it to maybe pursue a hobby, to buy something extra for themselves because they deserve to actually use the money for them. And it's a guaranteed advanced health fund. So this one is a guaranteed benefit. So that enables our client to actually use the money as they grow older, since income as well is not anymore viable through working, right? So we give all the options to our client as to how they can actually maximize their Health Max plan. Now, if this is the first time you've heard of Health Max and you knew all of the benefits that it can actually give you, all the way from getting a major critical illness, from covering you all the way up to age 100, from ensuring that your family has something, even if you have left them behind, to making sure that at old age you have the money and access to a fund that can enable you to help you with your financial needs. Would you get it for yourself? Now, what's stopping you this time from talking to your clients and telling them about the beauty of getting a critical conditions plan? Now, let's look at this time the full benefit scheme of our Health Max plan. Let's look back at the customer who we call Jane Rodriguez. Again, she got her Health Max when she was 30 years old. Let's say that she got hit with a minor critical condition. She had to undergo angioplasty. So of course, she can claim 20% of her cash benefit, which is 200,000 from a 1 million cash benefit. And what if at age 45, she got hit again with another minor critical condition and she had to undergo another angioplasty? By the way, when it comes to angioplasty, you can claim for up to 2 times for our Health Max policy, so as long as the procedure happened in another valve of the heart. It can't be in the same valve. Okay? Of course, since she got another angioplasty and it's in another valve, she can now claim again for a minor critical condition cash benefit of 20% of the sum insured, which is 200,000. You might be wondering, she already claimed for the 200,000 to begin with during the age of 33 when she first had her angioplasty. So, of course, you might be thinking that the remaining amount of her cash benefit is just only 800,000. So, if we look at this, she had another minor critical condition, and you might be asking, why is it still 200,000 wherein what's left of her money is just 800? Always remember that we take out our 20% for the minor critical condition and for the advanced health fund from the original sum insured that the client actually got. So even if it's just 800,000 left from claiming the first minor critical condition procedure, you can still claim 20% of the 1 million, which is the original sum insured, for the next minor critical condition, which is another 200,000. Now, let's say at the age of 70, after everything that she has gone through, she would now like to withdraw from her advanced health fund. She decided to go on a vacation. Maybe she's going on a cruise, right? And she withdraw from her advanced health fund. Of course, since we base it from the sum insured all over again, 20% of 1 million means that she can still withdraw 200,000. All in all, in the span of Jane's life, from 30 to 70 years old, she has already made claims amounting to 600,000 from her Health Max policy. But if you look at it, she still has 400,000 left from her policy. Rest assured, it will be given, of course, to her beneficiary should Jane die from an accident or from any illnesses. At age 80, she got into a car accident and died. Her designated beneficiaries can then receive her death benefit or the remaining sum insured, which is 400,000. As you can see, we are there to ensure that all stages in all of the client's needs when it comes to major and minor critical condition, life insurance, and old age, we will be there to cover them through the Health Max policy. Now, let's look into some details regarding our Health Max policy. Who are the clients that can actually get a Health Max policy? As early as 0 or 15 days old to 56 years old can actually get a Health Max policy. Now, when you're looking at an issue age, please take into the consideration the idea of insurance age, which means we are looking at 6 months ahead before the client's next birthday. So if your client is already 55 years old and will have their birthday in the next 6 months, they are already considered 56 years old, so they can still be covered for Health Max. But if your client is, let's say, 56 years old, but will have their birthday in the next 6 months, that is already stating that they are already 57 years old in the insurance age. So make sure that you also take note of that specific example when you do the coverage for the client. So you can have a coverage for Health Max up to age 100. That means we are making sure that your clients are covered long after their HMO are not already with them because they have retired from their companies. The minimum sum insured or the cash benefit that the client can avail of is 1 million. And the maximum sum insured that the client can avail of is 10 million. ensure that your clients get ample coverage when it comes to critical conditions. Sometimes the 1 million that we know now might not be the same 1 million in the next 10 to 15 years when your client is going to make a claim for a major critical or a minor critical condition. So make sure that you do your F&A correctly and ensure that they have ample coverage, especially for the most important foundation of the financial needs, which is our health. Client can opt to pay in different schemes. Clients who does not like to pay for a long time can opt to get the 10 pay. Do take note though that if it's 10 pay, it comes out more expensive because the payment period is actually compressed. So that means the client will have to shell out more to complete the plan at an earlier time. Client can also opt to have for 20 pay, which stretches out the payment period, enabling the client to actually pay less at a longer period of time. And they can also pay up to age 65. And we have this option because we want to make the plan more affordable for our Filipino families. That enables them to have a longer paying period, making the plan more affordable for typical wage earners. So the question is, which payment period best suits your client? That really depends on them. You're looking at clients. When you do your financial needs analysis, you'll better understand how much of a portion of their earnings are they willing to actually set aside for their health plan. So it's best that your clients would actually be comfortable in the payment period that they have chosen. If you hear clients stating things like, why is it taking so long to actually pay for a critical conditions plan? You can always tell them that we have those options for the plan to become cheaper. And of course, this is a plan that enables you actually to just set aside little portions so you can have access to a bigger fund when the need arises. Also, we can attach some riders to make a very comprehensive plan for our clients. You would know already that HealthMax is one of the most comprehensive critical conditions plan in the market. But we can make it more comprehensive through attaching some riders. Now, do take note that riders have specific conditions that they need to meet. We already know that HealthMax is one of the most comprehensive plans out there when it comes to coverage for critical illness. But we can make it more comprehensive and more suited for our clients by attaching riders as well. There are some riders that we can attach to our HealthMax policy, such as the Care Rider, which is basically a daily hospital income that the client can get when they are hospitalized. A Secure Rider, which enables the client to get more money for their beneficiaries if the reason for that is through accident. And the Payers Clause, which enables the client who got policies for their kids to ensure that it is continuously paid long after they're gone. Please ensure that you are also going to attend our Riders Pocket session for you to get to know our riders a little better. Let's move on this time to a few more details regarding our HealthMax policy. Now, here are some things that are very important to note. For the major and minor critical condition, if the client gets diagnosed 60 days following the policy effective date or when it was enforced, or the last reinstatement date, will cause the policy to be terminated and premiums will be returned. What does that mean? It seems as though there's a lot of jargons right there. Now, it just simply means that your client can't get diagnosed with any major or minor critical conditions within 60 days that they got their policy. Why? Doesn't it seem unfair? Well, actually, it's not. We are looking at the anti-selection risk. Here are some important things to note as well when it comes to getting a HealthMax policy. So with major and minor critical condition, diagnosed with 60 days following policy effective date or last reinstatement date will cause the policy to be terminated and premiums will be returned. Now, what does that mean? All of the jargons that you're seeing simply means that we are preventing anti-selection. So if the client gets diagnosed 60 days within the policy effective date of getting their Health Max policy with a major or minor critical condition, that only means that client may not have been so truthful regarding the application for Health Max. There are also some important things to note when it comes to the application for critical conditions like Health Max. One of the key things to note is that for major or minor critical conditions, any client who's diagnosed 60 days following policy effective date or the last reinstatement date will cause the policy to be terminated and premiums might be returned. What does that mean? It only means that we are preventing anti-selection. If a client, for example, gets diagnosed with a major or a minor critical conditions within the 60 days that they got their policy, that only means the client might not have been so truthful regarding the application that they need for the critical conditions. Typically, critical conditions such as cancer, stroke, heart attack, and all the others, they take a gradual process and they take gradual progressions when it comes to becoming a major or minor critical condition. That means if the client have already had these symptoms prior to the application of Health Max policy, then they shouldn't have been insured in the first hand, and that's the reason why we return their premiums and they won't get the sum insured. Moving forward, we also have what we call exclusion. When it comes to the major and minor critical illness benefits, we are not paying for any of the conditions arising from the following. Number one, pre-existing conditions. Conditions that have already been felt by the client when they have applied for the policy. Congenital abnormalities. Please take note, when we say congenital abnormalities, they can happen before birth, upon birth, and even later on in life. Acts of war, of course, and nuclear, bio, and chemical contamination. These exclusions are typical exclusions that we actually get to see in a Health Max, not just in a Health Max policy, but all other policy. Apart from the 60 days waiting period that you need to take a look into, also looked at the exclusions of the major and minor critical illness benefits that are not payable arising from the following. One is pre-existing condition. Second is congenital abnormalities, act of war, nuclear, biological, and chemical contamination. Let's look into these one by one. First off, we have what we call the pre-existing condition. Now, when we say pre-existing condition, what are we talking about here? Pre-existing condition. A condition, for example, is the first thing we are going to tackle, is any type of illness, specific injury, disease, or infirmary, including all underlying or related conditions and manifestation thereof, whether in one or more parts of the body system. And when we say pre-existing condition, we mean for which the insured received medical advice, consultation, or should have evident signs and symptoms even if the insured did not seek medical advice or treatment or consultation for it prior to the policy effective date or the date of last reinstatement, if any. That's a pre-existing condition. Now, what about the words, okay, such as major and minor critical conditions? When we say major and minor critical condition, it will be stated in the policy of the client as to what needs to be met in order for it to be classified as a major and minor critical condition. When we say incontestability, it is for, except for non-payment of premiums or any grounds recognized by law and jurisprudence, the policy is no longer contestable after 2 years of its effective date or last reinstatement during the insured's lifetime, whichever is later. Now, when we say incontestability, we are talking about the life policy of the client here in the Health Max policy. So after 2 years, AXA will not look into the reason anymore why the client died to begin with. But do take note that when it comes to health, it is forever contestable. When the client gets major critical illness or minor critical illness, even after 2 years of actually paying for the policy, AXA will still have the right to look into the reason or to look at the history of why the client got the critical illness, may it be major or minor, and looked into two possible things. Was there misdeclaration? Was there misrepresentation? Now, take note though that when it's a contestability, that means that it is always in favor of the client and not necessarily of the company. It just means that the company will have the right to look into the reason of that if it's within the 2-year period and the reason why the client get critically ill no matter what period it is in. How about suicide exclusion? That means that no benefits will be paid in case of suicide within the first 2 years. That's why we would say that after 2 years, the company wouldn't really mind or wouldn't really look into anymore the reason for that after 2 years from the effective date or the last date of reinstatement. However, please take note, if the suicide happened due to insanity, it is payable anytime. Where suicide is not compensatable, all premiums paid for the current policy year will be refunded without interest, plus the net surrender value at the end of the previous year, if any, less any indebtedness. Proof of claim. Proof of the major or minor critical condition must be provided, please take note, within 90 days of the first diagnosis of any critical condition, except when it can be shown that failure to submit within such a time is due to a valid reason. AXA reserves the right to ask for additional proof and examine the insured from time to time while the claims are in process. That is why we can say that when it comes to health claims, it is always forever contestable. And that's the reason why it is very important that you do your financial needs very thoroughly with your clients, because it is you who will be their advocate when the claims actually happens in the future. So there you have it. As you can see, Health Max really is one of the most comprehensive health plans out there. Not only does it cover you for 56 major critical condition and 18 minor condition, it also ensures you're covered all the way up to age 100. At the same time, ensures that your family gets something if you leave them behind due to untimely demise. And not only that, it rewards you as well for being healthy even when you get old. So as you can see, Health Max truly is beneficial not only for your clients, but for you, our distributors as well. Thank you, and that is the end of our session today. We hope to see you again in the next session that we will have from your distribution learning and development team. This has been Angela Omega, your training officer for today's pocket session, Health Max. Thank you.